Let it be known throughout the land that the time has come once again to hear a proclamation from your all-knowing exalted one himself. Please welcome your King of Kings to this edition of the King's Court.
Yes, from the ladies and lads to the peasant and common folk, it is another edition of the King's Court. And on the docket this week, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Mr. Irrelevant. Yes, we're talking Superman versus the Elite. Now, if you haven't had a chance to listen to our Extreme Hardcore Nerds podcast, I would suggest you probably want to head over there and listen to mine and Gunner's review of Superman versus the Elite. Yes, I actually got Gunner to agree on me with something about Superman for a change. It happened. It is recorded. But this is my chance to kind of go a little more in depth into it and kind of what I took away from the movie and kind of where I think we are right now with society. And the biggest thing that was the big main point with the movie was, is Superman no longer to keep up with society with his moral values? I don't believe that even in the world that we are today with our post 9/11 and our war on terror and the economy's in the crapper and we don't know who to trust, politicians are lying to us everywhere. It's nice to know you still have at least that one figure that you can sit back and look and go, I know I can trust that guy. I know what his moral code is. I know where he stands. And he's not going to falter that. That has always been what I've loved growing up as a kid, reading Superman, is Superman's always been truth, justice, and the American way. Now, I know a lot of you have probably just rolled your eyes and go, oh, God, he's the big blue Boy Scout, and all that crap again. And even you can look at the new 52 Superman, and they've made him edgier and meaner and cool. And yes, it's nice to see Superman have a little bit more of an attitude, being that he is Kryptonian. They are a war race. I mean, the best thing I could probably relate it to is, like Goku and Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. They come from this warrior race where they thrive on nothing more than fight, fight, fight. But Superman wasn't raised on Krypton. He has that blood in him, and if you watch Justice League Invasion on Cartoon Network, you can see that with Connor when he goes full Kryptonian. The human side disappears. But that's what makes Superman so great, is that he was raised on Earth by Ma and Pa Kent in the middle of Kansas on a farm, and he was endowed with those great values that make this country so wonderful. And it's one of those that he knows he has all this power, but he has to refrain from using it because he does not want to be seen as above the law or this dictator or this ruler because I have the might. He wants to be seen as, yes, even though I have this great power, I'm also no better than the kid that's on the street that's playing soccer with his buddies. And that nerve is really, really played like a violin in Superman versus the Elite, because you have these four superpowered beings who are trying to do the greater good and trying to help out, but they're willing to cross that kill line, which Superman has never wanted to do. So as the movie progresses, and of course, just like any human, Superman has his breaking point. Eventually we get to that point and they think this is where we've got him. Now we just remove him and we can become the new rulers of the land. But as they're very quick to find out, and as most people in that world had never seen until that point, what happens when Superman lets himself go? And turns out, from a fan standpoint and someone not living in that world, it's a really cool fight scene. Not gonna lie, it's pretty sweet. But for someone who would actually be living in that universe with heroes and stuff like that, to see, and no, this isn't me being Superman fanboy, to see the best of the best cash in his moral code and say I'm willing to cross that line and show off just how powerful he is and what would happen if he actually did it, would actually probably frighten the hell out of a lot of people. And that's what it does. I know living in our world, with, like I said, with the events that have happened, not just to this country, but I mean throughout history around the world, it would be nice to say, oh, we'd have a Superman that would, kill Adolf Hitler before World War II got started. Or, we would have a Green Lantern that could stop the planes from flying into the towers of 9/11 right before they crashed, and, history would be rewritten. But they didn't. And when people get scared, especially on that large scale like that, pandemonium kicks in, fear kicks in, because it's that fear of the unknown. And so you're willing to cash in your values, you're willing to cash in certain rights and liberties and stuff like that, because you want that safety of protection, and you want that warm feel of home. But when you really sit back and look at it, that's what Superman is, and to some of us in the comic world, is we always know when we pick up a Superman comic, yeah, we're probably going to see a really cool fight scene, and we're going to see, this sweet, power being used and this and that. But at the same time, we see Clark Kent, or even as Superman, that human side come out, where it's like, this feels like he feels like one of my buddies that I'm sitting at home with, having a beer with, just chilling in the backyard. And that's where we've always had that familiarity. So, yes, most people have their rights to say Superman is the big blue Boy Scout and this and that. Because, he is. Is truth, justice, in the American way one of those things that's kind of falling to the wayside and that we don't need anymore? I would say in this time, that's probably something we would need now more than ever, just looking at the way that the world is. And it would be nice to actually have that hero that Superman is in our real world, knowing that, yes, we have this guy looking out for us through thick and thin. So sit back, enjoy, watch Superman versus the Elite. I can't recommend it enough. It's one of those, you're going to get a kick out of it, especially if you're a DC fan, no matter what. Even if you're not, it's still just a great movie to sit back and watch, and it kind of gets you thinking on that moral level of what's going to happen when that moment comes in my life, rather big or small, where I've got to rip open my shirt and show my ass. Am I going to be the guy hiding in the basement, waiting for it all to end? Or am I going to be the guy charging to the front lines and doing anything I can to help? So with that, my final thought probably would be, is Superman the hero we want? No. Superman's the hero we need. Because he has to be that beacon, that guiding light that keeps us on track, that no matter how far off the beaten path we get, we can always look to him and look at that example and know there's always a way back home. There's always a way back to safety, no matter what. So with that, the king decrees, go buy Superman versus Elite, because DC needs money. It's a really kick-ass movie. And also because it'll actually get you thinking about, where exactly do I stand on that moral level? Peace!